We're going to do exercise 14.1. Now, before we get going, we see there's actually two parts to this. Let's copy. We're going to make some copies because we're going to change the actual program, and I want to have a backup copy. Okay. So let's look at the real program, and let me put this off, and I'm gonna put this backup copy in another directory. Let's go new folder. Just call it backup. We're gonna drop that in there. Okay, so we have our backup. Okay, let's look at the program. Okay. We see up here we're importing a couple of objects here. We had set up, looks like there's a dice class set up and then a die class set up. And here we have some kind of graphics here showing dice. It prints it out at the beginning of the program. It takes a number, enter the number of dice to roll, puts that in as count, then creates a die object, and it looks like it adds it to the dice object. So it creates a dice object here, and for I equals 1 in range of count, so it's going through there. Let's say if we enter 3, it's going through there 3 times, and it's adding into there. We'd have to look at the actual the class code to see exactly what's going on in the class, but it appears that this method here allows it to add to it. And then we'll have true. It comes here, so it lists your roll, goes through, and then sees if you want to roll it again. So let's open this here. Okay. This gives us a little more detail on what's going on. You see it imports the random module from Python. Then starts value of 0, kind of sets a return self value. Let's see what it's doing here. Oh, and on roll, what's doing, it's turning a number in the range within 1 to 6, within the range of 1 to 7 is the actual return range of this. Then what it does from there is with dice, which is multiple, looks like it's going to be multiple die, sets it up and basically just gives us a tuple collection of it. So pretty nice, and returns it. So interesting design. It has it looks like you're going to be calling multiple of these, and you can use it with the add die, and you're just basically appending it. Pretty cool. Let's run this and see what it actually looks like when we run it, and we can see that it prints out all these little graphics, and then it lets you pick a number. We're going to go, how many do we want to do? Let's do 10. And so it goes through there and rolls it 10 times, roll again. Let's say yes. And then it rolled it again. Yes again. And so on. Until we're done rolling. And now we say bye. Okay, so now we're ready to start the actual assignment and to make some changes to this program now that we reviewed it. Okay, now the first step says in the die class, modify the roll method so it returns the double underscore value attribute after it has set it to the random number between 1 and 6. So let's go in here. And let's see what they have thus far. Okay, the roll sets it, does the value, but doesn't return anything. Well, let's make it return something. Return, and they said they wanted us to return the value. So self double underscore value should do it. Let's see what they want us to do next. In the die class, modify the constructor so it sets the underscore value attribute by calling the roll method. This makes sure that the double underscore value attribute for a new die object stores a valid number for the die. Okay. And let's find where we have to go. Pop up here. Self. Okay. That first has 0. So let's change this to self dot roll. Okay. And that appears to be what they asked us to do. For the double underscore init. Next, they say in the die class, modify the setter so the value property doesn't allow a value greater than 6. Let's find the setter. Okay, there's a property, value setter. Okay. This is value less than 1, races an error. They also want a greater than 6. Okay, so we go, let's use a else if logic, and set value greater than 6. We're going to raise another arrow, and let's grab this over here so we don't have to retype everything in. Okay, so we can raise this one. Die can't be, what did they say? Greater than 6. Okay. So if it's greater than 6, we're going to raise an arrow. Kind of similarly to how they had it set beforehand with the one, less than 1. And if everything's okay, no arrow is raised, and we actually do set things in the setter. So that's good. It looks good. They want us to kind of test it out. I'm going to save it. And let's roll this. Okay, so pull it up here. We do the big test. Run it here interactively. Enter the number of dice to roll. Again. I'll say yes. Okay. Okay. That looks good. It's not gonna take anything less if we were to manually go in and set that. Although this doesn't manually go in there and set that. But I believe we're good. It's not gonna take it if we were to do that. Now let's see what they want us to do next. Okay, next on the list in the die class, add a read-only property named image that gets the string for the image that represents the die's current value. Okay. This is going to be a little trickier. They're talking about these images here. So let's shut this program down. I guess we can steal these images. I guess that would be the best way to do this. Okay. Here we go. We're going to steal some images with the copy. And then we're going to open this. They said they want a new property added to die. So let's put it here. Sure we have everything lined up. Property. And we call it image. Self. Okay. Now we get into the fun part of this. I'm just gonna drop this in here. Though it's not gonna. Oh, it's not one in place. Control V. Oh, that was no fun. I lost it. But let me open it again with another screen. Let's just cut these out of here. Copy. Okay. But obviously this is not going to work because this is print statement. We need to set the value of image. So let's get working on this. And they don't appear to be in 1, 2, 3 order. They're reversed order, but that should not matter. And we definitely don't need this. So in here, let's just add a check here, a conditional. So if self underscore value equals 6, and we could always, I mean, that's just the order is now. If you want it to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we can change that. But for the moment, let's just use what we have. Okay, so now we're going to steal this image. Okay, we need to scoot everything up here so we have everything basically the same. Adding it. Turn. Okay. So this is going to return the image, and we're going to have to set up the same level as the if here, else if, and then self dot value is equal to 5. We have image equal go here, here, here. And let's copy some, or at least more than some. Let's copy as much as we can to save time, because we have a lot of repetition going on here. So let's make sure we have it at the same level. And try to get everything lined up here. And that looked like it did indeed save us some time. So let's put this here. This here. This here. And after here would be a return image. Let's cut it off here so we get it at the same level of the image. I'm missing that on that one there. Also, that's left over from the print statement. We don't need that. In fact, it will cause us difficulties. Okay, so this is good. Let's just copy this straight down here. So for our next one, we need it at the level of the if else. And there we go. We get to 3, and we're gonna have to do a little readjustment because I left up there, if you look there, I left the 5 in there, but we could correct it once we're done lining up this image. And we're going to grab this. Line this up for aesthetics. And so we have 6, 5, then we drop down to 4, because this is the image for 4, and this is the image for 3. We definitely want to get that in there. Okay, we're moving right along. This is kind of a slow process. Trying to reuse what we can, and we're going to do this ahead of time so we don't forget about it. And this is going to be a 2. We're going to get rid of the print, so we're not going to be using that anymore. This here. And here. This is a kind of a tedium to do, and really we have this tedious repetitive thing here, but really the main thing in object-oriented programming is that we're using objects, so we have less tedium. This is a different case. We're dealing with an image, but in general, that is why object-oriented program is employed. Why we use it to save and crazy amounts of repetition like this, but let's say with every dice, like in here, all the rolls. If we weren't to use object-oriented programming to get accomplish the same program, we might often have more steps. Although in this particular example, it is debatable. We might be able to do a standard programming in the same amount of steps, but for more complex things with more complex objects, object-oriented programming is usually the way to go. So we're down to the 1. This is looking good. We're close here. After going through all of this, once again we get rid of the print because we are not using it anymore. Though I have a feeling they're going to ask us to print this image, but it's not going to be stored here per se, and we also need to return it. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I mean, it looks like it should run. Let's do a quick syntax check. Oh, maybe it should run. Okay, so it says no. Unindent does not match. Okay, we have some indentation issues here. Let's see where we are. Are we at the right? There we go. Let's just try the syntax again. Unexpected indent. Oh, we're off here. We should get there someday. Oh, we're getting better. All the way down here, we left part from the print statement. Let's try to run it again. See if we find more syntax issues. What do we have here? Dent. Okay. Oh, I see a few things we could change here. First of all, really don't need to do that, so we can actually just do this. Let me go fix these. There we go. Get rid of this. That looks good. Change here, and we don't have to do that down here either. Let's take away this. Let's take away this one too, and this one. Kind of have to do everything on this times 6. A lot of repetition. and working with these little images that are just drawn out in character. I don't readily, we have to leave this one, see any nice way to do this. So let's run this. Okay, still giving me a little issue around the 2. Let's see what else might be on. Okay, it looks like, okay, I can see it here. If you look here, you see that is really not lined up. Sometimes hard to see in these large programs. Also looks the same for this one here. I think this should do it. Okay. Now that's a lot better. We can see that we're not getting any errors there. And we're on to the next section. Okay, now they're going to want us to open up the main program. They just want to see if this still works. So we did some modifications, so let's just do it real quick. Yep, still works, which is a good thing. So they don't, it's like they want us to get rid of some of this, I guess. So we move this out. We can just eliminate this. That is, it's now gone. I'm gonna leave that empty print there. So let's get this. I don't know if we need this anymore. And they want us to still print those, but what they're saying is they want us to go in there and print them where they were printing the values here. So let's try that. So right now it's just printing the values when we step through here, but we now have the ability to just go print, and we could print these images for each of these die. We have a image to print. Let's run and see how this looks, see how it works. Cross our fingers. 3, cool, looking kind of cool a little, but it's like we got most of it going, but not quite all of it. We're still printing out the number, and everything looks really, spaced too close together. So let's fix that. Let's go over here and see if we could make a change here to alleviate our problem. Okay, so now we don't need to print this anymore, right? The value is not needed. So let's just print a space. That might alone make everything look better. I'm gonna go 3, and it does look better. At least for these, it's that top one. We're gonna have to add something there. So let's go fix that. Okay, so that's your roll. So let's add another print here and see if this extra print gets what we want. And that is really looking good. So it looks like we have what they want thus far. Now we need to move on to the next step. Okay, what they want us to do now is to get a total going, and they want us to modify the class dice to add that. Eventually we need to call it from here, but for now we're going to close this. We're going to go to dice. We're going to open it. Okay, there's die. All these images that we added, and dice. So here we're going to need to add another class. Call it get total. We got to make sure we're at the same level. Okay, so let's call it get total. And self, because it will be calling, will be from the object. Let's give this a little space here. Okay. Self, and we'll start to do initialization, because you know what, we'd start a total at 0, and we're going to want to loop through there, so we go for die, which we're looking at the die, and be self dot, here it is, list, copy that down. So for each one of these we're going to go total, and remember up here we set total to 0, so we're going to loop through there, and we're going to add the die dot value to that. So what this is doing with the plus equals, it's doing a running total. So it's looping through here and just kind of adding it each time it loops through, adds the next die to the total. Let's go here. Let's make sure we get this at the right level. Oh, yep, it's lined up right for the return. And that should do it for here. Let's copy what we called it. Call this get total, because we're going to have to use this here in a bit. So let's go back into our other program. Open it up. And now we're going to have to print that. So let's find a good place to print that. Should be right about here. We could leave that there. And let's do a print. Let's throw some nice verbiage in here. We'll say total. And then we'd have to go dice and the name that we copied over. Oh, I don't have that. It was get total total. Okay. Think I have that correct. And oops. Now we might be correct. Let's throw another print in there, just for good measure, to get things well spaced out. I think that should do it. Dice roll. Let's roll 3. And get total is not working how we thought it should be. Okay, so let's look in there and see what's going on here, because we tried to print it and it didn't go. So let's go here. Let's get them both open at the same time. So that may be a little helpful. Make sure we have everything correct. Okay, so make sure I get this right. Get total. And we were hitting return, but we were not returning anything. And we want to return total, so let's save this. Let's go in here and rerun this, and hopefully everything looks good. We'll go 3, and we have 5 plus 5 plus 1 is 11, and it looks like our exercise is complete.